Welcome back, everyone, to Madden God. I'm Max, your host, and I'm here joined by the wonderful, the amazing, the stellar, the inimitable, the one and only Roxanne. Hi, Roxy.
Hello, Max. I love your introductions. It's kind of like Archangel
Yeah,
Michael. He loves a big entrance. So, anyways, hey,
right.
what's going on? Welcome, everyone. First off, thanks for tuning in to our podcast, The Madden God. What do you want to talk about today, Max?
Yes. So, we were saying let's take the topic that you were exploring yesterday in your life, so the trauma, and go a little bit wider, trauma healing, and this kind of things,
My
right?
yesterday's YouTube.
Because
Yeah.
yes,
Trauma. Trauma drama, I think I called it.
trauma.
Trauma drama.
Yes, exactly. And it's a very interesting topic. For instance, and I have examples that are happening in these days of things that are coming to my awareness, where I see a lot of drama, and I always say, well, it's like you just cannot do without the drama, right? The drama is really there, and if it's like kind of like people that have things getting better in their lives, and then they need to have new drama because it's getting too good, so let's add drama so that then there is more trauma, there is more all of that, and yeah, sometimes okay, I see, I see. And so it's you see that it's like staying into that things of keeping someone in that area, in that circle, and you say, well, it could be not that difficult to come out of that, and just to allow yourself to get better, stay better, and leave that behind you. But you see that it's difficult to bring that. Sometimes you just have to say, well, yeah, that's what you choose. Fine with me. I cannot go against your choice. Or should I? Or shouldn't I? Do I want? Or don't I want? It's right. It's you perceive that you see people, yeah, and sometimes think is maybe it's close home or something like that, and you say, oh, I wish I'd like to help. And then I just got the thing coming here. Well, if they need help, they'll ask. And if there is anything I can do, well, that will be asked or evident or anything. I'm not going me to enter into their drama, into their trauma, or into whatever they are experiencing, thinking that I can solve the problem. So that is already something for the self, for me, to be aware of that, right? Of letting go of that I'd say egotical reaction to those situations, and I'm getting better and better at that, and at recognizing, well, I even not getting better at that. I know I instantly know when that is the ego coming in and saying, oh, I can be the savior. Well, no, I'm not the savior, so bye. But then to get more into it and diving more into that thing is that you just see that it's like a need. It's a feeling. I see that as a feeling, as a need. I need the drama because without the drama I'm not alive. I don't got that thing. I cannot complain. I cannot cry. I cannot be desperate. I have to go into that to sustain myself. And sometimes then you look into it and you see that it's literally nothing. It's just drama for drama. Or you can see there is a connection. Some other times you can see that there is underlying there a traumatic experience. Then I ask myself, yeah, all right, I understand that we all have trauma. I understand that we are all a work in progress and that not everyone sees that, not everyone understands that there are solutions to all of those things so that they these trauma are maintained because they don't know better. But don't they? Is it something that we can keep saying and giving as an excuse to everyone? They don't know better. No one ever told them that they can get better, that there are solutions, that they can have help, or they can help themselves, or that can we can we keep take that, and it's not just for other people, it's also for ourselves, and mainly I will say essentially for the self. Can we keep giving those excuses to ourselves to excuse the fact that oh, I'm traumatized? Yeah, and what then? You're traumatized. Are you gonna cry the rest of your life because you're traumatized? Or what is that? And here, this is the building up of excuses for the self, for just keeping oneself in in that. And that, again, is a choice. It's not right or wrong. But here, again, right, we always say it's not right or wrong. It's not about if you choose differently, it's not bad, it's okay, uh, it's all right. And that is correct. But at the same time, we are here and not somewhere else. We are here where we are talking about these things, but it's more than talking about these things. Now we have to take our self and our responsibilities and just for ourselves and go farther than that. I cannot keep taking excuses for myself and just justify in that way. Good. Yeah, but it's too much effort. Oh, but I don't want to, or I'm fine like this. I know I cry every day, but it's fine. Of course, it's fine. However, I know that that I can choose differently, and we know that. So, is it for us? Because it's not about anyone else; it's for the self. Is it a choice that, yes, but is it a choice that we can really justify now from where we are standing right now? Can we just always present excuses? And obviously we are not presenting the excuses to anyone else. We're taking those excuses for ourselves, because that's the only way that these kind of things go. It's not, or if whether someone else is doing something or not, it what changes for me? It's not my thing. It's about the self, right? That's where I'm looking now. And I've caught myself now, because I've been very careful, Roxy, to analyze every time that I'm in a situation where generally I know I have tendency to externalize. Now I get into reminding myself, and I know I'm doing the action, so it's that I need to do that, so I'm not there yet. But I'm taking the conscious step of reminding myself, remember, it's you. Remember, it's inside. It's not them, it's you. And I choose to do this way because this way I remind myself this up until the moment where I will not need to have the reminder. It will become just assimilated and the knowing of it so that I will not need to do that step of reminder. But I know that in order to get there, there are moments, experiences where I need that reminder. Because I know that in those experiences, I get the externalization. For me, for instance, is when I go shopping. When I go into the supermarket to shop, I know that in those in moments, I tend to externalize. So that's why I took that step consciously, do, do this exercise, so that then I get with the repetition, with the awareness, with the work that I'm doing, I'll get better and better into recognizing it. And then I'll get to the moment, no need for recognition. It's there, it's in the knowing. But that's the thing, right? I could just say, oh, I go shopping, I'm in the supermarket, oh, I can't do it, it's just too much, it's overwhelming, oh, it's external, and it's everyone is so mean to me. And yeah, I could, right, I could. But then this is what I'm saying, is that we are doing a work on the self. We are evolving ourselves. Those kind of excuses can go in certain situations for people that are completely unaware, have chosen differently. But we have chosen to do this work for ourselves. So that's where I'm saying, look, it's fine. However, just do the work because you choose it. Don't use excuses to keep yourself into trauma, to keep yourself into drama, where you know that there are ways to work on those things, to change those places or those things that you are feeling or experiencing, and you know that. So when you say, "Oh, it's too much," or well, then again, it's not that it's right or wrong again, but you choose differently. So keep doing it. Don't make excuses for yourself. And I think that sometimes, right, we need to hear, we need for the self, we need for to to get there, to have those reminders. Because for me at least, sometimes it's good. It was very good when I had sometimes Roxy get at me and say, Max, what are you doing there? Yeah, and right, so it's not mean spirited, it's not judgmental, it's not to say, oh, you're doing it wrong. It's a reminder. We have chosen this, and we can do this because we have the understanding, we have the ability, we have the technology that we have chosen for ourselves, right? All those things that we put together through all of this work, what that becomes our technology, and our way to, right, build like our spaceship, or right, it's manufactured. We do that for ourselves. Great. Then keep going. Don't, and that's the key words here. It's excuses. Taking excuses rarely, very often cheap excuses to justify your ego, because that's what it is. Sorry, I went off in a rant, uh, sort of, Roxy. But I mean,
You don't have to apologize for that.
and that goes as much to everyone, but especially to me, right? And I'm aware of that.
Awareness is key, isn't it?
Yes.
For the
Yeah.
ones that are being victims in the world that don't realize they're being victims to themselves. In other words, when you were saying there, when you have a choice, when you see yourself continuing that story or that paradigm, then you're aware of it and you have a choice and you can make excuses. But for the ones that are not aware of it, they're just living life. And when they're ready, they'll wake up on their own with just the presence of your light and, not the preacherhood. So that's why, I woke up because no one came and shook me up and said, wake up. You know, it happened naturally, it happened through synchronistic attraction. So when people find themselves in a reality, it's like on my Gaia TV. I get people that watch this as, the Gaia TV show that I was on with Ruben Langdon. And people connect with me. Now, I didn't find them. I don't find people. I don't tell people that they're asleep. I don't tell them that they're carrying on their drama. I don't go out and seek these things. What I do is represent and work on myself. As Max said, you're working on yourself. And the recognition is the key here. So if you see yourself carrying on an internal dialogue, and you also know a different choice in that internal dialogue to change the entire structure of your own internal relationship to reality, well, then, if you don't do it, as Max says, you could be making an excuse. So it is about the awareness, it is about the recognition. And whatever work that we put out there, if someone is attracted to that work, and that work is that moment of their internal journey occurring, and it's not anyone's responsibility on how they're going to interpret that. Otherwise, you would be, a tyrannical idea of posturing purpose. And we've already had that. So when I saw, of course, myself enacting a habit itself. Now, sometimes when I was caught up in anger with someone that was valued with me, or my repetition about that relationship, I would continue, and I saw myself, but I couldn't help myself because the emotions were very, very strong. And sometimes you can't help your behavior in that moment. Later on, when you have hindsight, you get a little better at it. Then you have a choice, and the choice becomes more relative or prevalent, and you go ahead and take the chance on yourself and don't continue that timeline of self, that internal drama that keeps you cycled in that idea, like, okay, well, they did this to me again, and oh, this had happened again, and they did it to me again. And it doesn't matter what is being done to you, it's the fact that you're having a relationship of victimization. That's what we're talking about. Again, folks, listen up. Don't get caught up in the details. And I'll give you an example as a side note here. I've recently, in my last couple of days, I've talked to three different people that all have an incredible amount of abundance. And when I mean incredible, of course, that's relative to each person. Because, no one has the same value of money. But they have, one person has, a savings account they can live and not change their lifestyle for the next year. Another one can do that and maintain a family for 10 years. Another one is a self that can maintain her life for the rest of the way. But they still have a problem with money. They still have lack. They still fight for it and hang on to it. But if they stopped right now doing anything, they would be fine for the rest of their lives. They would never lose any of the idea. So why do they continue the drama? Because the drama isn't about the money or the lack of money. The drama is about the relationship. the internal dialogue that gives them a subjective worthiness of purpose. I can have this time about my money. I'm going to react to it. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to fear it. And I'm going to keep up that internal cycle. Now, when the awakener realizes in his own kingdom they're carrying on that dialogue, then the choice is there to transcend that. Sometimes the emotions are too great at that given moment, and that's not a failure. And if anyone complains about that, that's an ego. Because no one knows another universe. No one knows another universe. You can never judge a journey because it is completely subjective. That's why we value the idea of it's all about me and how I relate, and everyone else is their own concern in their own relationship and their own journey. Let them have it. So I saw the internal dialogue being carried on by me about some emotional ideas, and I would let him launch those emotional reactions and really observe them again and again and again until then I wasn't a victim to my own emotions by letting them run away with me. But I wasn't really a victim, I was just aware. And that recognition, that awareness, allowed me little by little to dissipate the value of getting back at people. It's like revenge. Most people really want revenge. You know, people, let's say, they find something in a mall sitting on the ground and it's someone's property. Sometimes they'll steal it, sometimes they'll return it, sometimes they'll kick it and break it. They all have a relationship to an object on how it subjectively relates to themselves. But everyone has an internal dialogue about those conversations. And we can't manage those internal worlds. Then we spend a lifetime trying to change everyone. Well, we've been doing that since we got to the planet and it hasn't worked. It just continues. So the internal dialogue of the awakener has to recognize its own self and whether it wants to continue that story. So after a few times of could not help but to be angry, I embraced that anger and allowed it to become another point of acceptance, another point of surrender. And then that dissipated the work. And then I was able to not react because the value of that reaction, road rage, you did this to me, revenge, you need to be punished for that. Fuck you, what did you do? No, that's wrong. And those are realities created through lack. And the master sees that that is not needed, that there's another reality to have in the moment that doesn't fulfill the consciousness of that internal cycle self, the one that's continuing the drama because it needs emotional drama. You know, my mother is 80 something years old and she falls, and she's fallen twice in the last whatever, broken arm, banged her head, needed to go to the hospital, the whole thing. And I'll have nothing to do with it. And I was like, well, good for you, Mom. Well, that's exciting because she's continuing drama. She knows it, but she refuses the help so she can have a reason to have a bad time. And this is cycled in many different ways through her life. So it's never about the salvation, about helping her, because she won't accept the help. Because if she accepts the help, then she has no identity. And without an identity, there's no purpose. So that's what everyone has to consider within themselves. If you're carrying on bullshit drama, okay, and bullshit trauma attached to your drama that gives you a reason to act and behave a certain way, then if you are subjectively aware of that, then it becomes a master's choice. Do you really want to represent to the world that the world is a place that you have to parlay victim to? Is that what you want to represent? That humanity is tragic when it's the greatest species of all time? That this is an unconditional reality of greatness, of self-discovery? Is that what you want to represent? That, oh, these ancient aliens did this to us, and it's because of this, and then we did this, and I did this in a past lifetime in the future, and I have to do this. What the fuck you doing? Managing your diarrhea is the only thing you're doing. But you need to be aware, what happens if I don't have my drama? What happens if I don't have that identity? Tell me what happens. And this is to yourself. Well, you can always think about what's going to happen, but you never know it until you stop. Stop the dialogue. Stop When it's ready, when you know it, in its honesty and truth, you know you can make a different choice. It's like, here's a hard one. Obligation. Let's talk about obligation. It's easy to be a victim, but it's a hard one to be obligated, a hard one to transcend. So we can make it a different point of view about it instead of the victimization point of view. We'll look at this. It's like, I'm dedicated to my job. I'm obligated. And then one day, the boss or the employer or whoever is asks you to do something that goes against the grain of you. Not the pissy self, not the one that's like, oh, they're going to make me do more work. I should be paid more. Not that little image self, not that fucking bitch. The one that goes against the grain. Now you know that you are being used as an expense. So, doing that action, you know your reality, you know your job, you know your idea. But now it's stepped outside of the idea of the job parameters. And even though you're doing a good job, now this is a subjective job parameter, not the one that's stated in your job description that's filed in your fucking human resource folder. We're not talking about that one. We're talking about the work ethic that you portray as the self. And then here comes an idea that tips on the board of going against the grain of you. And then all of a sudden, you have to do it because of obligation. Now, that obligation speaks in relative realities through fear to hold you to your own accountability of obligation. And the fears are the downside of things, which are always experiences in the now and never going to happen because fears live in time. So all of a sudden you see that you're obligated to this idea and you want to go, if I don't do this, this is going to happen because fear is going to sell and this is going to happen, or they're going to react and I won't get the promotion and maybe this will happen and they'll be disappointed. So I think the best choice for everyone involved is me to choose this idea that my boss wants me to do. And it's going to be at the expense of my family, at the expense of myself, more so, the worthiness of myself. I'm going to darken my own light and choose the puppeteer and be that idea, mockery of my own ego, and watch myself get pulled by the marionette strings and then act through obligation on my purpose. And then you get to live that life. Now let's look at that. That's all you're fucking doing. Don't think it has a payoff. Don't think it has meaning. All of that is a sales job by your memory in the now and the way you're concluding the space time continuum. What is actually happening is the now. So you're selling your story in the now about the future, which is starts and stops in every single now, and every now is brand new, and every now is constantly changing. But of course, we don't look at that because we spend so much time in our memory, so much time in the idea of the accusations of polarity to value our identity, and then we have no time to see what the hell is really going on in the now. Relationship rise, of course. We know what's going on in the now. The TV's this, the whatever. But we're talking a relationship. We're talking about the internal universe that you are awakening to and having the ability to transcend. So now you have a reason to continue your obligation. You can recognize that, and the reason is the recognition of the ego. Now, the only one's reasoning is the ego. The unreasonable self doesn't have a reason of its choice. It says, of course not. And I have no reason for that. It's like, why are you doing this? I'm not doing anything because of a why. I'm doing because I am. And that takes a while to get to. So, first thing you got to do is recognize the story. If you're always telling a constant story, how can you fit another story into your life? Where is the room in your reality if you are constantly posturing yourself and executing the idea of the emotional action of that self in a constant? Where's the change available? It doesn't come in to show you a different reality. Now, you might want the reality of change through effort, goal setting, projects, outcomes. That's a wonderful reality. That's a very human reality, and you're more than welcome to it. And you've probably done it already all your life. But this is an awakening relationship. This is an enlightenment relationship. This is to see that my internal dialogue is talking about a drama. And I'm going to carry this because this person told me that, and that person is true. So you're accepting that truth and you're making it your own, creating your own reality and now about something that's not happening here and now. So that's why you have to look at that. So those entire internal dialogues are very valuable. They show you about yourself, but you have to recognize it first. The ones that don't recognize it, don't go preaching to them. Don't be an asshole. You get busy with yourself, and your light is so bright and so beautiful that when someone attracts themselves into your life, that opportunity without intention will be made known to where you can speak your truth because they're open to that at the moment. If they're closed down to that, then you sound like a preacher. You sound like someone that's nuts. You know the fucking guy at the airport. I had an Uber driver today says, "Oh, God bless. Here's a couple things for you for Jesus Christ as Savior." And he hands me a couple of coins that had these crosses cut out into them. And I was like, cool, there you go. So he's preaching. He's preaching me. Now I could have countered it and I said, "Hey, I'm a witch. I don't like you fucking people because you took my fucking religion and you turned it was not actually a religion, but it's a way of life. But you took within my way of life and you crushed it with a religion. So how about fuck you and your damn Christ conscience, huh?" So that's the counterance, but I don't have that kind of internal dialogue. I'm not that person. I just accept it for what they are, but I don't feed it and I don't generalize it. I just allow the moment to unfold. So if that person is ready and his Christ runs out on him and he doesn't have any reason left and he's ready to see that the Christ consciousness is a representation of the internal God that we all are and evolve that idea out of what it was represented as, that it wasn't turned into a wielding sword of fear that slices everybody's up and slices the caliber of their own free will up into the idea of slavery behind this mockery of goodness. So that idea can be evolved when that person is ready. He'll attract a person that offers an internal alignment to them. I can't preach that. It's not my job. I represent the light, and people come into my life. So just like those people that saw me on Gaia TV, I don't know who they are, and all of a sudden I get an email. "Hey, I saw you on Gaia TV. I'd really like to talk to you about some things." That kind of idea. So that's how attraction works, and it's all going to be taken care of. You can't rush things here. You can't do it. But what you can do is work on yourself constantly in the now, and you don't have to rush it because there's no deadline here. Think about it. Let's think about it from this. Here's a really cool perspective. Think about it. What happens if we live for 200 years instead of 100 years? How long would our teenage years be? Right? How much more time would we take to know ourselves if we lived 200 years? So now let's live eternally. Where the fuck is the rush? The rush is in the lack because you're missing out because we were algorithmed to be taught get it done now so you can have more life before you die. So the more you fulfill yourself with the externalism, the better you'll be, which is of course a fucking hand job. It's just bullshit. Don't suck yourself into the idea the more you consume, the better you are. That's nothing to be proud of. Be in the moment. You cannot believe until you experience how much is truly going on in the simplicity of the now. The busyness of the mind is what's going on in the now. That's what you need to see. So when I talked about the trauma yesterday and these people carrying on these dialogues and those ones that watched my video and you guys listening to these ideas right now that you've attracted to your universe, this potential choosing it, and now these words are flowing across your consciousness as potential ideas of change, then you have an ability to look at it in yourself and say, you know what? Maybe I am being this same person because this person is a relationship to me and it's very, very, very valuable. And I get upset if it gets rid of their eye and I'm afraid to stir things up. But if that person was a stranger, you wouldn't give a flying fuck about them. So it's investment in time. It's what your memory says the relationship, and that's very, very powerful. And you have to be enough value to yourself and take care of the kingdom, and they might guilt you to death. You're supposed to be this. You're supposed to do that. Why won't you do that for me? Oh, come on. You can do it. And then you can feel that anger and that rage and that guilt inside of you, right? And then you can feel your behavior change because of those emotions. And you want to recognize those emotions because that's the internal dialogue that's creating your reality. For any of you out there that watched The Addams Family, the first one, when they did the remake of The Addams Family, it's a great, great movie. You know, Christopher Lloyd, or is it Lloyd Christopher Lloyd? Yeah, Christopher Lloyd. Sorry, Christopher. He played Fester, and then his doting mother would say, "Oh, who's mom? I don't know who that is." In this one scene, and he felt so guilty. He was like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, mom." And you feel that, and that's very, very valuable to feel. It doesn't make your behavior change. That's your reactionary self wanting to change to get back to everything is right as rain. Don't go there. Stay in the pain of guilt. Swim in it, feel in it, love it, because that's the transcendence of the condition that's keeping you in that algorithm of internal dialogue. Although you're not even having the conversations, but you're having the conversations about what you're supposed to do. That's a reactionary self. So you carry on trauma the same way. I've had people says, "What trauma do I have to work off? Why is my life so bad? I'm feeling these things from the past and I have to work off this trauma." No, you don't. You're carrying diarrhea into my house. So let me tell you how to clean up your shit in my house you just brought it to, which of course right now is recognition that you have your own shit in your house. There's no trauma in the idea of trauma that's not happening in the now. If it's trauma in the now, that's different. That's a different life. But you're talking about, I'm having a reaction to the outside, so I need to assign it to a blame. Someone comes along and says, well, you did this in another lifetime, so you need to work it out here on this lifetime, and it's your job to do that. Well, okay, I better do that then. So I have to carry this trauma. How do I transcend my trauma? And then you have another image. Then you have another purpose. You're just doing another fucking cycle of identity. That's what you need to see.
Yeah.
You want to say something, Max?
We do that, right? We do that a lot,
Yes.
right? Of taking, oh, you have this. Oh, how do I do that? Oh gosh, yeah. um, Today I had an internal dialogue where I have, I think the voice said, I'm not happy. And I said, oh, you're not happy. So then tell me, why aren't you happy? It's not happening fast enough. Doing all of this, and we're still there, and I'm waiting or something like that. And I said, oh yeah, right. So you are assigning all of this in time, and then, but what is not happening? And I knew that that was my ego expressing unsatisfaction. And then I said, well, then tell me what to do. You are unsatisfied, give me a solution, or tell me, right, express yourself and elaborate. You cannot just be unsatisfied. There is something that he's giving, that right, sustaining that satisfaction. And then he said, well, anyway, it's already decided, we're going that way, it's going to happen, but it's taking too long. And I said, well, it's not taking too long, because then if you are if you put that in time, right, is that in time it will always take too long, because the moment is this moment, and where you put it in time, well, unless you are in that moment, every other moment is not that moment, so you will always be out of time, or right, taking too long or whatever, because the moment, it's only that moment. So it's right, it's there. I offer myself a recognition of that unsatisfaction, but also I've seen that I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that side of me that needs that recognition of existing, of being unsatisfied, but that is because there is that side that is still valuing time as a factor to measuring success, outcome, right? Those kind of things. So, well, I know that that is there. So I accept it. I accept it because it's part of what it is. But now that I've seen that, I've recognized that, I know that that is there, so that now I'm able not to repeat that. I'm able not to keep that. I'm able to let go of that because I recognize at the same moment, well, that that is something that I'm working on, something that is needed for me to evolve, so that I'm evolving myself. And I love what you said about the revenge, because there is something that is perfect for that, that came to my awareness recently. So you know that there is this Rings of Power and a TV show, and in this there is an elf that is the main character, and the main reason to existence of this main character is revenge. The revenge because her brother has been killed. Now some people on internet said, but actually that doesn't make sense. The revenge driven character that she is offering doesn't make sense because her brother is not dead. These beings cannot die. They don't die. They may lose their body, but they reincarnate, and they are undying. So her brother, he's just waiting for her in the undying land. So all her character arc doesn't make sense. And I'm saying this because it goes with what you were saying, is that right when you have revenge that is driving you, that think, oh, this happened, so I have to take revenge, and even going back to other lives, or whatever, and that is given that drama, that trauma or drama, and all. We are infinite beings. The revenge character arc doesn't make sense because we have actually a lifespan that is even not 100 or 200 year, is literally thousands of hundreds of years. So in all of that, where is the revenge? What is the meaning of the moment where you there is a feeling of unsatisfaction, or the feeling of someone not respecting or whatever, in such a long span, right, in all the experiences? Because actually it's just one moment. And again, if you are in the moment that happens, it's that moment, but every other moment is not that moment. So it's in the memory in the end. So it's keeping something that is not happening in that moment. It's keeping that through revenge. And where is that leading? To the fact that we are infinite beings, and that revenge as infinite beings is driven, what is bringing what? Is a feeling, is an emotion, is a trauma, is a drama, is whatever. An identity, maybe? And once it's fulfilled, what is left? Nothing. Satisfaction, feeling, another identity, still holding the same thing because it's still the same identity. It's not a new identity. It's still the old. It's just saying I'm I'm revenged. I got you. But then after that, how can you keep going? Because it's done. So you have to find another revenge or another something to replace it. Because the satisfaction didn't last long, by the way, because generally you achieve something, you get something, and then the next second, you are still unsatisfied because, oh, that didn't give me the satisfaction. Like many people that go to justice, right, to have justice serve, they have justice serve, and the very next moment they say, yeah, but I'm still unsatisfied. Yeah, guess what? Surprise. Could have told you before, you will never be satisfied, even with justice served, because it was not about that. And once it's done, then there is that thing that it's gone. So I have to invent something else in order to keep the same stuff, because it's actually the same energy, but we change perspective, we change the way of expressing it, but it's the same energy. It's exactly the same thing. And holding that cycle of the same thing, because I am unable just to let go and to bring that back to me and to see myself and to recognize me. I'm doing that. The revenge is me. I'm not revenging myself against someone else. I'm revenging against myself because there's only me. It's right. These things work now. We have to give to these things a new meaning, a new understanding. We cannot keep the old paradigm of externalization. It doesn't work anymore. We have passed that. It worked certainly for lifespans, for many, right? Many, but to get to this moment, a lot of moments, a lot of stuff. Yeah, it worked. Now we know differently, not better, differently. So that instead of keeping alive those images of revenge, of whatever, justice, or what, we bring that to ourselves, to the self. It's me, me. The trauma is, it's not because they did something to me. Trauma is me. The the whatever, it's me. It's all me. And when I get there in recognizing it's me, then I get to do what I get to just get myself into the transcending all of that, letting go. I don't need a trauma. I don't need the dramatization of everything. I don't need to revenge. I don't need. That served the purpose when that was needed. Now, that's not needed anymore. So we can let go of those things. That's the work in the recognition and then in the application, in the knowing. Yeah,
In the transcendence of it, which is what we are by nature,
yes,
evolution. We're
yeah,
constantly evolving. You're holding yourself accountable for your memories and your identities. Until that's recognized, it's not a choice. And that's people running around the world doing their thing. But when you recognize it in yourself and you kind of not worry about what the world's doing, you Got to bring it back and says, I'm here to evolve. If I woke up, I must have changed something. Otherwise, I don't have this knowledge, this awareness in me. So let's look at what this is offering me from a subjective evolutionary standpoint instead of an objective purposeful standpoint, posturing an idea I'm here to save the fucking world. I'm here on a solo
Mm.
mission. Bullshit. That's crap. You can have that, but then you have to be bound to that. And then you'll live your life with that. And then, you know whose world that is? Yours. You think anyone else needs to choose that as a truth? No. See, they'll do what everyone else does. This is what Max just said. They'll do what everyone else does. They'll get what you can out of it and they'll move the fuck on. Just like when you get your satisfaction, after it's done, you'll move the fuck on and you'll hunt it down again. And you'll live that cycle of lives. Key here is to see you're creating your own reality. Whatever dialogue you're buying into that your mind is selling you, and you're acting and behavior of those aspects, and that's your life. And no one else's life is that. It's yours. And there's not the hope of someone out there going, hey, you did it, that you're actually going to earn a degree, or there's a rush because there's some payoff if you get it done quicker. No, there's not that. There's only the here and the now. And if you are subjectively aware of yourself and you have the opportunity to evolve yourself, then I say choose the transcendence of those belief systems that keep you imprisoned, conditioned, limited, darkened to your own light. I would say take that opportunity to evolve that. And the work is very, very difficult. The choices are easy, but the work itself is constant, it is emotional, it is taxing and extraordinary, and it's difficult at times. But if you stay with the now of it and not hurry it up and allow it, in a couple of years you'll be right as rain. You won't be done, but at least you'll have a great understanding of what it is. A, what you've created as a personality. B, how to recognize it. And C, of course, how to transcend it. It takes work. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes work of masters. When you earn your master's degree, you're not going to get it in a fucking day or week. You know? We take this external idea about education and you invest, a lifetime of education in yourself, and then you're waking up and you expect someone to have the answer and make it all go away. No, it's a mastery of an internal awakening, internal work. I've been at it for quite some time. What I have to offer offers a whole new perspective of it in a reality that does keep you out of the cycle, that gives you an opportunity to evolve. But you can't put a clock on it. You can't rush it. You just have to evolve and stay constant now and just know how you're doing. And when those changes come and you recognize them, accept that part of that's awesome about you. You can have a little bit of self-pride and say, God damn, I did some good here. I see more of myself. But don't turn that into an image that you're going to go around parading either. Move off of it and keep going and keep evolving. Constant of change
Yeah,
is actually always there. It's always changing. It's always happening. But you're the one who shuts you down to keep you the same. So recognize these things in you. Recognize those identities, that trauma that people are proud of. There's so many people that are just driving around. Yes, I have PTSD. I have PTSD. And they might have PTSD or they might not. And
mm,
it's not that they do or don't, but if you're claiming that, you need to look at what you're claiming and creating about your reality. If you have a traumatic experience, I get that. I had trauma in my life. You've had trauma in your life. But if your trauma is evolved, but you're holding on to the identity, well, that's on you. And that's not wrong, but just know you're creating your reality that way. Always
yeah.
know that.
I had a moment
What?
today where I was just observing and I said, oh, Look at me. Spending, I've been spending, and I'm spending a lot of money in courses, in right in sessions, in things like that. And then I said, yes, but I'm not spending the money. I'm evolving myself. The image of spending the money is what we could call the permission slip, right? But it's more the physicality of it. It's how it works on this reality. But the finalite point here, the main point for me is I'm evolving myself. So this is for me. It's not the money. It's me, right? It's the recognition that I'm taking care of me. And I said, this is the love I have for the self, for me, that I'm expressing in investing, if we want to talk
There you
human,
go.
in the self, right? and and as you said, it's not that now I have to take that and make it a personality out of that. It's simply the recognition of what I've chosen, of what I am now. This is me. And this me is taking care of the self, is making sure that I'm expressing my self love in this way and in many other ways. But this way in particular, it's also it's something that I can perceive as being something that I'm using, right? Work in progress, yes, but a lot of progress, a lot of work. But I can I can take that. I can see that in that way, but I can also just say that's just bullshit. Work, progress, fuck it. It's not about that. It's about the evolution of the self. It's about me, but it's about me in a, let's say, unconditional way. It's the expression of the unconditional. See the unconditional materialize in the way you choose what is best for me. What do I want for me now? And what I want for me, well, is this. Is me. Is my evolution. Because I choose that. But even say that I choose that, it's not anymore a choice. It's a being. And that is the final word, is the being. So it's not the money, it's not the courses, it's not whatever, it's the being. Now this is the state of being, state of nation.
That's it. Good stuff, Max. So everyone out there, just be aware of what you're doing to yourself because no one else will do it to you. And you don't have to play a victim to that because you had no idea any of these ideas were out there when you come to this planet incarnate as a separation, and the only thing you remember is nothing. You remember nothing about yourself. There's no self included when you're here. There's just an emptiness of an identity floating around in a world of no subjective I am present. Separation is a master game, it is a master class. So, recognize it and do the work.
Yeah.
So, I think our hour's about up. We're going to go ahead and let
Yes.
everyone know. Again, my name is Roxanne. You can find me on YouTube at Odyssey of Ascension. And there's a link down to my website, odysseyofascension.com, if you need to get a hold of me. And Max, go ahead and tell them where you can be found.
breakfastwithmax.com and breakfastwithmax.com also on YouTube, and everything is on my website. Courses, healing, Reiki, and blah blah. And yes, and so and you can contact me through the website.
Same here.
So
Through my website. All right, Max. Another one in the books.
yes, thank
And
you everyone. Thank you,
thank you,
Roxy.
everyone, for joining in. And thank you, Max.
And until next
Till
time,
next time.
the next night. Bye bye.